You might have heard that it's impossible to lose fat and build muscle at the same time, but that's probably not actually true for you. I'm going to give you the specific training and nutrition guidance you need to achieve body recomposition over 40. I've been a certified strength and conditioning specialist since 2008 and a fat loss coach for over 25 years. And I usually tell my clients to focus on body recomposition because that's usually what they want. Less fat and more muscle, or at least enough muscle to get that definition. The whole idea of bulking and cutting applies more to competitive bodybuilders who are going to the extremes of muscle mass and low body fat, not the average person over 40 who just wants to get leaner and stronger. And particularly with women, there aren't a lot of us who want to put on a bunch of fat just so we can maximize our muscle mass. I've done it a couple of times in preparation for physique competitions, and I definitely wasn't as lean as I wanted to be. In fairness, I also didn't prep completely well in those first competitions. I didn't give myself enough time to lean out, as we say, to get to both enough muscle and the leanness I needed for the stage. Losing fat and building muscle are different systems, so they can happen at the same time. And there are 3 groups of people who have a great chance of being able to do it. If you're over about 25 to 30% body fat as a woman, over about 20% as a man, that means you have some body fat that can go as you build muscle. Beginners to weight training. So that would normally be under a year of consistent progressive strength training. We're going to talk about what that means a bit later. But many people are in and out of the gym for years without a structured program that allows them to build muscle and strength consistently. That means most people qualify for this group. And the third group is you haven't been consistent with your nutrition for long enough. Basically, if you haven't optimized your nutrition and training program consistently for years, you probably will be able to do body recomposition. And I'll be honest, I haven't always done that either. When I prepped for the fitness competitions that I did, I think I've done 12 now, that's when I had everything completely on track. But right now I have some physical challenges, a shoulder issue, an ongoing TMJ and neck issue that recurs. So a lot of those things have been worse, and I haven't really done the consistent weight training that I need in order to build muscle. It also hasn't been a priority. Even the clients I work with that have their training in line have trouble with keeping their nutrition on track for long periods of time. That's the biggest challenge for most people. And without consistent nutrition that allows you to gain muscle and lose fat, you'll always have some space to improve. That's why the first thing you need for body recomposition is to make sure you're getting enough protein. I generally recommend 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. Most of the research says your maximum benefits are going to be at 1.6 grams per kilo, which is about that 0.7 grams per pound. But there are incremental benefits to going higher in some cases, which I'll show you a bit later. But I've also found working with a lot of people that if you say 0.7 grams per pound, many people will fall a bit short several days out of the week. So they're not really getting the maximum benefit consistently. If you aim for 1 gram per pound, but don't quite get there for a few days, it's fine because you'll likely get the maximum benefit you need anyway. Remember that calories are going to be the number one thing that gets you fat loss. So as you add protein, think about what you have to take out to get those calories low enough to lose fat. That's right, some of those calories would need to come out of either carbs or fats. And both of those things are important as well. So you want to make sure that there's balance. It doesn't seem to matter whether you are choosing to go higher in carbs and lower in fats, or higher in fats and lower in carbs in terms of fat loss. So it's really down to your personal preference, but we want to maintain the protein at a constant level. To make sure you keep your protein high and your calories low, you want to get your protein mainly from lean sources of protein, meaning they're high in protein and relatively low in fat and calories per serving. Great examples that I personally use are low-fat Greek yogurt, chicken breast, of course, lean ground turkey, and egg whites. Once every week or two, I order a big salad from a salad place near us, and that has chicken and big chunks of tofu as well. Tofu can be a great option. I've put together the Lean and Strong protein plan that gives you some other good sources of protein for body recomposition. I've even included a sample meal plan to get you started. You can get it free at the link in the description. Now, protein is useful because it helps to maintain and build your muscle mass. Having protein with your meals also keeps you fuller for longer, so you're less likely to overeat on treat foods, high-calorie foods that will cause you to put on more fat. And managing your appetite and controlling cravings is huge for fat loss. Now, you can eat all the protein or drink all the protein shakes you want, but if you're not giving the muscle some kind of stimulus, it doesn't have any reason to respond by growing. This is actually a lot more important than we used to think for muscle building. And weight training is also important for staying strong as you get older, carrying heavy groceries, pushing a carry-on that's way too large into the overhead compartment on a plane. Those things can seem minor in your 40s and 50s, but by the time you get into your mid-60s, you'll feel how different you are from other people your age if you do strength training. It doesn't necessarily need to be weights at the beginning. It could be body weight training that you're doing progressively. Progressive resistance training means that as you get stronger, you increase the challenge. You could increase your weights, but if it's body weight, then you're increasing the difficulty of the exercise or increasing the repetitions. A solid, consistent weight training program is the main thing you need to build muscle as you're losing fat. For someone who's never trained before, it can completely change your body shape. You can finally get that toned look, get the definition that you want. Building muscle is actually a lot harder than weight loss, so it's something that you really need to focus on with body recomposition. It also takes longer. I generally recommend 2 to 5 weight training sessions a week. I've seen some complete beginners get results on 2 sessions a week, but once you've been training for 5 years or so consistently, it might not be enough anymore, maybe even after that first year. Each workout doesn't need to be long. Generally, an effective, efficient workout can be done in 30 minutes with maybe 5 minutes at the beginning to warm up, and then 5 minutes at the end to cool down and stretch it out a little bit. Stretching is more just to feel good, get rid of any stiffness you're feeling. Hitting each major muscle group twice a week has been shown to maximize muscle growth. For many people, a full body workout 3 times a week is going to get the best result. It's also very efficient and practical. Not everybody has time to do 4 or 5 days a week of weight training, especially since you want to include some cardio for your heart health too. So 3 weight training sessions a week could be enough. If you have the time, 4 or 5 days a week is good too, especially if they're shorter sessions. The main thing you want to be aware of is recovery. Our recovery from exercise does tend to go down a bit as we get into our 40s and 50s, especially if you're not sleeping that well. Many of us are not. Just pay attention to your body and your particular needs. If you're constantly sore and tired, you might want to reduce your weight training sessions and add in more recovery time. Your muscles are growing during the time that you're not training, not during the workouts. That doesn't mean lying on the couch eating tortilla chips. One of the best ways to recover from weight training sessions is with walking. And tracking your steps can be really valuable because that small calorie burn also adds up. I've noticed that I'm not nearly as active in the winter as I am in the summer, and mostly it's because I don't like going outside as much. 7,000 steps is a good standard to start with, but if you're really looking to tap into those fat stores, then go after those 10,000 steps. It's a nice round number, I guess. And numbers are also important when it comes to calories for body recomposition. Now, you may or may not be tracking your calories. Either strategy is fine. Tracking calories works for a lot of people and it doesn't work for others. I do recommend that most people try it at least for a few weeks because then you have that knowledge. Tracking calories, whether or not you want to be in a calorie deficit or maintenance, when you're trying to build muscle and lose fat, it's going to depend on where you are now and how far you are from your goal. If you're carrying quite a lot of excess weight, let's say 30, 40, 50 pounds or more, you might want to be eating in a slight calorie deficit. Now, most people, when they go on a body recomposition plan, they do want to improve their nutrition. Generally, it's because they know that it's not ideal. And that does mean increasing the lean proteins, the fruits and vegetables, fiber in general, and reducing ultra-processed treat foods that you probably enjoy, and if you're carrying a lot of excess body weight, you probably eat a little bit too much of. And I'm definitely not about cutting them out. It's about incorporating them to the point where you're reducing your calories in a way that's sustainable for you. I'm not eating junk food ever. Yeah, I don't think that's a great strategy at all, and I've tried it many times myself. Unless you're planning to give up all those foods that you enjoy. For me, that would be chocolate, ice cream, cheesecake, soft baked chocolate chip cookies. I wouldn't give those things up. I just have them in smaller quantities and less frequently than most. What works for a lot of people, myself included, is having a planned treat most days. And it's just something small. Maybe it's 200 calories or 250 calories. It really depends on your body size and what you can get away with. Body fat is just your body's internal storage of energy. So if you don't give your body enough energy in the form of calories through food for it to sustain itself as it is, then it's going to use those energy stores, your body fat, to provide that energy. And that's exactly what you want. Now, how do we estimate our calorie target? There are a lot of calculators on the internet that will give you a starting point, but they can give very different results, and they're not always right for you. I sometimes use 14 times body weight in pounds to estimate maintenance calories for my clients. That's the amount of calories you would need to keep your body where it is right now, assuming that you keep your physical activity exactly the same. That number comes from a study by Dr. Eric Helms, and it applies more to physically active people who are relatively lean and preparing for bodybuilding competitions. So the estimated amount of calories for a calorie deficit for someone like that would be 13 times your body weight. So for me at 135 pounds, I would need 1,755 calories to lose body fat. But this will likely only work for someone who's relatively lean and doesn't carry a lot of excess body fat. Now, if you haven't really optimized your weight training yet, and perhaps you're only working out once a week or sporadically a couple sessions here and there, or maybe you haven't started working out at all, in that case, you're going to get that muscle growth and pretty fast. And you'll probably be able to lose fat at the same time. Now, the people who won't be able to put on muscle and lose fat at the same time are going to be quite lean, and they've already optimized their training. So they're already working out 3 to 5 times a week. They're doing solid progressive resistance training sessions. So as soon as they get a bit stronger, they push their weights up, they increase the intensity, they keep moving on, they push themselves hard so that they're going close to failure. Basically, someone who's optimized their training and also optimized their nutrition consistently. So they're already eating enough protein, they've been eating adequate calories to fuel themselves. Those people will have a hard time putting on muscle while losing fat at the same time. Now, as you're losing fat, an important guideline is that you don't lose any more than 1% of your body weight per week. So if you're 150 pounds, no more than 1.5 pounds per week. Any more than that, and you're going to risk losing your muscle. And body recomposition requires muscle. That's going to go against the whole purpose of this process. Now, if you're not tracking calories, and I'm fine with that, a lot of my clients don't. I don't personally track my calories right now either, but it's important to at least keep an eye on your protein, which for me is the most important macro to track. And that's because not only does it help with your appetite, which means that you can keep your calories at a reasonable place, but it's also going to help you retain that muscle as you're dieting. And as you've learned, that's a key part of this process. You also want to plan your nutrition so you have enough fiber too. About 14 grams of fiber for every 1,000 calories you're eating. So that means if you're eating 2,000 calories a day, you should have 28 grams of fiber. To start putting together a way of eating for body recomposition for yourself, watch the video here.